Hello and welcome back to another IG Live. Today's guest I am very, very excited to welcome on board. He is the fantastic Mike Wardian. I have so many questions for him, and I'm sure lots of you guys too. We've had quite a few questions sent in, but if anyone has another question they want to ask, please do put them in the comments and we'll make sure that we get to them. But we're going to be covering everything around, there he is, technical trails ahead of our Ultra X England event. No!
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Good. Your session this morning looks brutal.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he crushed me. Yeah, don't tell your trainer that you're feeling strong.
Yeah, bad idea.
Bad idea. Hold on, my headphones aren't.
Oh, it's paused. He'll be back. It's the session. It's really shaking him up.
How's that? Is that better? Oh, that should be way better.
Hello.
Can you hear me
Yeah,
or no?
good. You're good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly. Nice cap.
Yeah,
Great
right?
cap.
Yeah, it still looks pretty good. I've running it a bunch too, and it's still like nice and white.
Great. That's what we like to hear. Very good
Yeah.
job. Well, I've got loads of questions for you myself. We've had loads. I've mentioned briefly what we're going to kind of focus on today is technical trails. Now, as you know, we have just launched Ultra X England, which is our race of this year. Obviously, quite a few others have been cancelled due to the current situation, but we're super excited to have Ultra X England going ahead. And let me tell you from experience, having run some of the trails last weekend, they are pretty tough, but it's a beautiful course. Who better to give us some tips about getting up and down the hills, managing the very, very rocky trails better than you. So before we go ahead, tell us a bit about you, just in case the guys don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. My name is Michael Wardian. In case people didn't know, I'm a professional marathon and ultra marathon runner. I have run roads, trails, self-supported, supported. People this year might know me for doing a race called the Quarantine Backyard Ultra, which was like a last person standing type race where I raced for 63 hours and did about 262 miles, a little under 500 kilometers, which is cool because that's about what we're doing this month for the month of miles, or at least I'm trying to do that for this month for our month of miles. And I've run 2:17:49 in the marathon. I've been on 8 world teams for the US for the 100K World Championships. Best finish ever was a silver medal there. And I also was a 2-time bronze medalist for the 50K World Championships. I've won a race where you run 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents twice. Have the fastest time ever run in the continent of Antarctica. I ran 2:54. So the first person ever to break 3 hours in Antarctica. I've won a marathon at the North Pole. So I don't know. I'm like one of those people, like I've been lucky. I've got to run all over the world in all different conditions. And I guess like some stuff that's kind of more applicable for what we do is I've won the Coastal Challenge stage race in Costa Rica. I've finished 3rd at Marathon des Sables. And I really enjoy stage racing and the chance to be with the same group of people doing something epic every single day for a long amount of time. And kind of having that experience of like bonding over something hard.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely a sense of that, and there is really nothing like kind of getting in from these long days and having the most incredible support network around you who've all been through the same thing and suffered through it. But also there is literally no better feeling than that finish line feeling, and there's no better feeling than overcoming something as tough as that, which I think really does teach you so many. hosts so many mental benefits that in some respects far outweigh the physical ones. You kind of come away feeling pretty invincible and pretty badass. Um,
Yeah, totally. And like, I think what's so cool too is you get to see people dig deeper than they've ever been pushed. Like they're accessing parts of themselves that they were hoping was there, but maybe weren't sure. And then you can see them kind of blossom over the course of the race. I mean, not just in the front, but like in the entire race. Like there's people that you're like, there's no way that person's going to make it. And then like day 3, you're like, oh my God, that person's like an animal. So like, it's just cool to see the transformation in people.
yeah, in fact, I mean, I've noted a few things down that you've already covered, but you're also a Guinness World Record holder and national champion across multiple businesses. And on top
Yeah.
of that, you are a father and a husband. I literally do not know how you do it all, but someone has asked, how many marathons and ultra marathons have you completed so far? Do you even know?
Yeah, I mean, I have a good idea. Like it was funny at first, I didn't really keep track, but each year I'd say I averaged between like 40 and 50 events. And I think last year I did like almost 17, 18 marathons. And so I'd say I'm over like 250 marathons and ultra marathons. Yeah, somewhere around that number.
That is bonkers. Someone has also said, any chance of getting Mike over for Ultra X England? We would love to have Mike.
Yeah, yeah, I would totally, that would be amazing. Like I don't know if our passports work right now, unfortunately, just because we're doing not a good job with fighting our the virus here. But yeah, I don't know. I need to look into that. There's some places we can go as US citizens.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if England's one of them though.
Well, if we could have you, you know that we would. So let's change rather rapidly. Um,
Yeah, I'll definitely have to take a look. I'll see about looking at flights and stuff.
yeah, sure. Okay, so before we get into the real crowd pleasers, I know you mentioned that you did quarantine backyard ultra, but can you share a little bit more about what you've been up to in lockdown and how you've stayed motivated? I know you've kept up training. As you said, you're feeling really, really strong, but that can be quite difficult in the current situation. So how have you managed to kind of stay motivated?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's actually been probably my biggest year ever, which is like unbelievable. Like given that all the cool events like I was going to do, like we were supposed to do your event in
Yeah,
Sri Lanka, that was like the next event before everything kind of got put on hold, and like we were holding out hope it was going to happen, and it just couldn't. And so, but since then, yeah, I've done a bunch of virtual racing. So like we had a virtual race series for Ultra X, which was fun. I've done a ton of fastest known times. So those are kind of like self-directed events.
cool.
So I've set 11 fastest known times just in 2020. And those range from anywhere from like, 8 or 9 miles to 2 weeks ago, I ran 110 miles, self-supported, like filtering my own water and carrying like a 25-pound pack through Shenandoah National Park on the Appalachian Trail. So like 22,000 feet of elevation gain and like 110 miles. It took me a little over 36 hours of running. So I've done stuff like that. I've run to like all the taco shops in the DC area. I've run every single, like all the streets in DC are named, but like some of them are named after the 50 states in Washington, DC. So I ran 100K going to all the streets. I ran there's these like historical boundary stones that the DC is like a 10 by 10 square. And so I ran all those boundary stones and had to like go in the woods and kind of search them out. And so I've had plenty of like cool things to do. So yeah, I have had no shortage of like fun, engaging events. The one thing that I'm missing is just the travel and like getting to meet people, and that's one of the things that I really miss is the chance to connect with people on a deeper level. And oh, actually, I ran across the entire state of Delaware. That was 135 miles.
Hey, how have we missed that one? So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's been like a super big year, and I've done a lot of cool things. But it's a lot of it hasn't been like organized racing. It's been more like kind of adventures that I've planned with myself and a couple of friends.
for sure, and there's no reason that people can't continue to do those. You know, as you said, they've helped keep you motivated. They've helped keep you training. They've given you something to kind of aim for, and I think that's great. And I think a lot of people have been taking up their own challenges and stuff over lockdown, which has been really cool to see. Especially people who
Yeah,
went into running before and have now got more into it because of these kind of incentives and virtual races. So I think
yeah.
I know that in your most recent update, you told me that you have a race in the diary that is going ahead.
Yes, yeah, it's super exciting. So,
Yay!
yeah, I can't believe it. So, in like actually about 3 weeks, I'll be racing in California at Big Bear for a race called the Kodiak 100 miler. It's a Spartan Trail World Championship race. So there'll be some good competition, and it'll be a chance to kind of mix it up in a like it's a reduced format, like it'll just be elites running against elites, but it should be a good chance to like see what my fitness is like, and then also to chance to just run somewhere different. Like I've run a lot around the DC area and a lot around the mountains here. Like we have these small Appalachian mountains, but it'll be nice to be in a different part of the country and get a chance to mix it up with some people in real life.
Yeah, I bet you must be very, very excited. Okay, let's delve into the actual technical trail stuff. But before we do, our fantastic ambassador James has just joined the live, and it's his.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it that's I just wanted to wish him well. Like I think, is it today his birthday, or is that right?
He's actually been running, I think, a kilometer, and I'll let him correct me. But for every year he's been alive, he's been running a kilometer today. I think that's right. And his route looked absolutely brutal, lots of hills.
Maybe he should be the one that helps us with the hills then.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, James. Happy birthday. I hope you had a great run, or if you're still on it, that you're enjoying it. And yeah, I look forward to sharing some miles and kilometers with you in the future, man.
I know that he'll hugely appreciate that. Happy birthday, James. I hope you had a glorious day in your recovery. Okay, on to the fun stuff. We've called you up here because you are one of the best in the business. And with so many of our runners now taking on UltraX England, perhaps the first ultra marathon they've ever done, on some what I would deem as incredibly technical trails, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about kind of how to best manage them and how to best take them. So let's start at the bottom. Running uphill. What are your top tips for getting uphill as fast and as smoothly as possible?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and I think it depends on your fitness level too. But obviously practice is key. Like, so don't make it the first time that you've tried to run uphill in the race. Like maybe go and try to find a fell or like a place where you can do some hill repeats. And then like for me, my stride actually shortens a little bit when I'm going uphill. So I take like these kind of like pitter patter steps up the hill. I don't know if are you allowing poles or sticks
Um,
in the
yes, you're allowed poles.
okay, yeah. So like
Sorry,
uh
he's out. Sorry. Sorry.
There is a delivery pallet, and the delivery man cannot get it in. I asked my victim.
Bear with me 1 second and I'll drop down a message, okay?
Can you come?
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Do you want me to keep going, or do you need to
You keep going. Sorry, I'm in the.
Okay, yeah. So like using poles like is a big tip. Like that's something that I really struggled with at first, but like just getting used to leaning on the poles and really using them, getting the right size poles so they should come kind of like up to your armpits, and then like your hand position. Like I hold them kind of like this with my thumb on the top, and really push down on the poles and use them. So you'll see like a lot of the top guys and girls using poles. If they're illegal, they make a huge difference climbing for me. It takes a little weight off both up and down. So like, it's a really functional tool. So like just getting comfortable with poles. If you're not, like, then it's like hands on knees. So like just getting comfortable, like using your legs almost as poles. So
Yeah.
so that's kind of like my biggest tip. And then as far as like, I always try to fuel at the bottom, because, and you're going pretty slow, and you should try this in your training, but a lot of times, like, it's almost as fast to hike fast up the hill as it is to run, and you're using more energy. And so it gives you a bit of a break to hike up the hills and then run on the flats and on the downs. So those are some of the best things that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, I think people get really kind of psyched about running up the hills, when actually, like, I definitely find I'm quicker if I just take big steps and kind of lean on my legs. I've not used poles, and I do need to try, but they are definitely allowed at UltraX England, and we had a good conversation about them the other day. Someone was actually saying often the most difficult thing is getting them in and out of your pack.
Yeah, actually, that is true. There's some packs where they sit like kind of on the front, or like a lot of times they sit on the side or the back. I know there's some belts that you can put them like right on your, kind of like the small of your back. I just kind of keep them in my hand the whole time. Some people hate that, but I actually use them up and down. And then when it's flat, I just kind of hold them. So like I've run, hundreds of miles that way. And if you can get comfortable with them, they just kind of don't even bother you after a while, especially if you get some light ones like the Z poles or something like that, the carbon.
Then they're relatively easy to carry. Okay,
Yeah.
good tip. So guys, get your poles, get practicing with your poles. Don't turn up the start line for the first time. Not a good idea.
Yes.
Okay, so top. And the terrain is pretty rocky now. It's flat, but it's pretty rocky. And I know for a lot of us, especially, for those of us that live in London, there's not a huge amount of technical trails around London, and we're quite used to kind of flat, easy to handle trails. What would be your top tips for managing the kind of, because there's quite a lot of big rocks on the trail, which then you can land on them a bit funny, you can twist your ankle. So what would be your tip for kind of handling those?
Yeah, so I also live like in an urban environment. So like Washington, D.C., again, not super rocky or technical. I would say get used to using what you have. So like a lot of things that I'll do in the city that help with like running on technical terrain, basically it's like running in a limited space, right? Like there's on almost every trail, there's like, even if it's super rocky, there's like a little patch that's actually good foot placement. So it's just getting comfortable putting your foot on different like surfaces and textures. And so you can kind of mimic that actually in the city pretty well. So if like the sidewalks where they have the little curb, like the little lip on the edge, you can just run right along that and just pretend it's like the narrow path. I'll actually jump up on like park benches, like especially if they don't have like a handle on the edge, or even if they do, you can kind of jump up on the bench and then jump off of it. And so you get used to like that up and down motion, running up and over the curb and then back down and then up and over again. So just getting used to like, because what happens, especially if you're just running flat all the time and without any variance, is when you get on the trail, like you're going up and down and you're using different muscles and you're going kind of like back and forth. And so if you can kind of mimic that on your training runs a bit, because it also will help with your hips opening up a little bit, and just getting used to changing the plane. And then it'll also help with your eye-foot coordination, because like sometimes you think you're picking your feet up and you're not picking them up as much as you think. And that's a problem, because you're going to fall and hit yourself. So like just getting used to it. And then if you can get on like, because you guys have like the tow paths and stuff like that around London that you can run on. So like getting used to running on gravel, like just because it actually is a little bit slower. And so like just getting comfortable with like going a little bit slower, or knowing what it feels like to go a little bit slower. And then I don't know if people have access to it, but jumping rope I find is really helpful just because it gets you used to picking your feet up.
Yeah,
And it's actually it's great exercise. It doesn't take that long and it really just makes you a lot more agile. So like, and then you can do step ups, and you can kind of do those on the curb. You can do those onto a park bench. You can do those almost anywhere, and just step up, step down. You can do them on the stairs in your house or your apartment complex. And then getting used to like having weight on your back because you're going to be carrying, and so that's going to change how you run also. So just like getting comfortable in your pack, and then how your foot is going to fall with the extra weight.
Yeah, definitely. So again, it's essentially trying to mimic or replicate what you're set to experience. And even that, it's not exactly, it doesn't matter if you can't get out onto the peaks, there's loads of ways that you can replicate those different kind of variables that might then impact the way you run on race day. I think
Right.
super helpful. So thank you for that. And okay, it's time to descend. This for me is the worst bit. Zero confidence in myself, and I'm absolutely convinced that I'm just gonna roly-poly all the way down. So I guess
Right.
get confident on those trails, and is there any specific techniques that you'd recommend for kind of being able to go down a little bit faster and perhaps a little bit smoother with less shaky legs?
Yeah, so that's actually something I still struggle with, and I think like especially coming from being a road runner or your first time on trail, it's just take your time. Like you don't have to go super fast, and like the more that you have exposure to coming down, the easier it'll get. And especially if you are using poles, like they're super helpful on the downhill, just as a like another point of contact. So like if you can get comfortable running downhill with poles, it'll make you so much faster. But a lot of times it's just getting out there and doing it, and you can mimic that even on some of the steep downhills in London or a city, and it's just getting used to like having your feet fall forward quickly, and then it also helps get your quads ready for that kind of impact, because a lot of times if you're not used to like having that kind of contraction as you're going downhill, you're going to blow up your legs. And so it's like getting used to it and then getting confident, and then also like scanning with your eyes and really looking where you're trying to put your feet. Like I think that's one of the things a lot of times we zone out as runners, and like one of the cool things about running on trail is you have to be on point or else you fall. And so like just really keeping your eyes in front of you, keeping cognizant of where you want to go. And also if you're in a group, like back off from the person in front of you, because you're not going to be able to see the trail coming, or you're not going to have the reaction time to be able to adjust your foot placement. So like someone will see like, hey, look, there's a tree, and then all of a sudden you hit it. So like just back off a little bit from the person or pass them quickly so that you have a good view of the trail.
Yeah. Otherwise it'll end up a little bit like the domino effect. I remember
Yes.
I was speaking to my coach and I was like, I'm so bad at going downhill. How do you get better? He was like, don't look at the ground, look ahead of you. I was like, I can't.
Yeah, it's weird. It actually, someone told me that too, because I was like watching Killian and like, guys like that, and you're just like, God, come on, man. Like seriously. But it's just because they're confident. And like even once you get even better, because a lot of like my brother sucks at running downhill. Like every time we run trails, like it's so slow, like him going downhill, and it's just because he's just timid. And so like, and he'll go slower downhill than uphill even, but he's starting to get better, and it's just repetition. And then also like he doesn't like it when he can't see where he's putting his feet. So like I don't know if you like have been on the trails where it's like kind of overgrown and you're kind of doing one foot in front of the other, like down like almost like a drainage ditch. And sometimes that just comes down to being confident in like your proprioception with your foot placement. So like if you do put it on a bad thing, like your ankle will correct quickly. And so like that's just practice. And you can even do like in the city, you can do like wobble board stuff, but also just like standing on one leg, like really is helpful. Single leg squats, heel raises, and with a slow down, walking on your toes, all that kind of stuff is really helpful.
Cool. Great. So lots of strength exercises in there as well to help you get a little bit more confident and stable.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to jump to some questions that we've had sent in because I'm aware that we are running out of time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a big talker.
No, it's great. That's what we want. Okay, someone has said, what's your routine for the day after long races or efforts?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different than most people. I like to kind of get, I call it like a depletion mile, but I like to do like a really hard effort the day after a long event. Or so I'll go out the next day and do like a blowout like mile as fast as I can. So like trying to aim for, I don't know, depends how messed up I am, but like usually try to go under 6 minutes per mile. And it usually kills, and I'm usually hating it while I'm doing it, but like 5 minutes after I'm done, I feel so much better, and I feel like it just kickstarts everything. And so I don't know if that's possible for people, but like just go out and do something, and then I try to do easy recovery. So like hiking, walking, cycling, elliptical, for people that have access to a gym, and then some kind of strength training. So like I do a lot of like mobility stuff, so like dead bugs, bird dogs, bridges, and I can like send you a link to this or do a video or something for people.
Yeah, that would be super helpful. People would really appreciate that. So it's, again, obviously you have your tough mile effort, but after that, it's relatively low heart rate stuff, and just getting the body slowly moving again.
Yeah, and lots of like food and nutrition.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, and liquids.
yeah, for sure. Someone's actually someone has said, what's your preferred nutrition options for 30 to 50 miles? Views on whole foods, gels, etc.
For 30 to 50 miles, I'm usually keeping it liquid calories and goos or gels. So after about 50 miles, I'll switch to more real foods. So like soups, avocado with salt, almond butter and honey, sandwiches, noodles, sweet potato, really easy to eat stuff, like pretty whole foods, but a little bit more calorie dense and like just something different.
Yeah, definitely. Just to keep it interesting as well, I guess, because you start to not to want to eat. So if you've got lots,
Yeah.
then you can kind of have whatever most takes your fancy.
Right. And actually, like I would recommend to everybody finding liquid calories that work for you, be it like Goo Roctane, Tailwind, you can something, just because like those are always super easy to put down, and you get the calories and the nutrient and the liquid at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely practice some of those as well. Another big one to practice before you turn up on the start line, because it's not to try something completely new.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do two very quick final questions.
Okay.
Tip for someone looking to improve speed over a long distance.
For me, it's the track. So, and it doesn't seem like it would make sense because, like, why should I do 400s, which is one lap of the track, or 800s, or 1Ks, or miles on the track? But I think just having that leg speed and the ability to run fast makes running the longer distances that much easier. And so when you're running those longer distances, you're more efficient, and it's just easier to keep up the pace. And so the other thing you can do is, once you've built that kind of speed, is do some longer tempo runs. So it's kind of similar to marathon training, and I feel like a lot of that is really impacting being able to run long and fast at the same time.
For sure, good tips, and I think it's something that I think a lot of people kind of put on the back burner when they're initially trying to increase the mileage, which I think is good, because you don't want to try and do everything at once. But as they get more comfortable in the longer distances, obviously it tends to be a goal for everyone to get a little bit faster. Okay, final question.
Okay.
The race you're most excited for next year?
Oh man, it's our world championship race. Like, yeah, I mean, come on. Like, I feel like that's been a long time coming. Like, I think the competition is going to be like stout. I think the location is somewhere that I've always wanted to go. Like, it's Slovenia, so like it's a place that's been kind of out there that I've wanted to explore, and I think that it's cool that, you know, we were able to kind of get something put together, and it's something that people can look forward to. I know I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be a great race. As you said, Slovenia is beautiful, and we've got big plans. And also super excited to bring all of you guys together, and so for the whole team to meet, which will be really nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for joining us and answering all of our questions. Super helpful. I definitely learned a lot from it. This will obviously be staying on our page, so you guys can watch it if you didn't quite get to catch the beginning. But it really was fantastic to chat to you. Thank you so much, and have a glorious rest of your day.
Hey, thanks. You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.